lalaki ang populasyon sa hindi na kababaihan.
The debate on the passage of a reproductive health law in the country has been going on for decades. We have witnessed the largest street protests of those who support and resist the reproductive health law. But the endless disputes inside and outside the courts are now in a deadlock, waiting for the Supreme Court's declaration on the law's constitutionality anytime soon. The reproductive health was first introduced in the Philippines in 1967. Republic Act number 10354, or the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, guarantees universal access to methods on contraception, fertility control, sexual education, and maternal care. The Asian Development Bank reports that rapid population growth and high fertility rates among the poor aggravate poverty, making it harder for the government to address it. But the critics of the RH law pave a steep road in the implementation of the law, saying that the Philippines is not overpopulated, the natural family planning method is the best option, and that the RH law will do harm more than good and will not make a dent to the nation's poverty problem. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. With countless arguments and protests, online and otherwise, we now know the reproductive health law more than ever. But it seems that the debate is far from over. We ask tonight, does the Philippines need a reproductive health law? Good evening, I'm Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views. Joining us tonight in our discussion is Representative Lito Atienza of the Buhay Party List. Good evening, Congressman Atienza.
Good evening, magandang gabi.
Yeah, sir, can you give us your quick thoughts, summary of your points regarding your position in this matter?
We have always been opposing the RH bill, and we continue to oppose RH law in the Supreme Court. Naniniwala kami hindi makakabuti ito, makakasama. At hindi makapagbibigay ng mas magandang ekonomiya, ay hindi makakapagbigay ng mas magandang buhay, sisira lamang sa ating sariling pananaw ng tungkol sa buhay. Especially on the values that we have inherited from our forefathers. Priority of this is the value of life. Matitrivialize at hindi magbubunga ng tama para sa lahat.
All right. Thank you very much, Congressman. On the opposing side is Dr. Sylvia Claudio, or Dr. Guy Claudio, Director of the UP Center for Women's Studies and the Board Chairman of Likhan Center for Women's Health. Good evening, Professor Guy.
Good evening.
Yes. Ma'am, your quick thoughts on this subject matter.
We have fought for very long for this bill. It's been through all the arguments. We have won the public debate. We have won the debate in legislature. We believe this is a bill that saves lives, women's lives, their children's lives, because they need their mothers to be alive, the lives of other people who have who are sexually active, and we believe it is a moral bill, a bill that respects the secular opinion of people, that respects that there are different religious traditions and different views with regards to what is life. And what is family, and how we best are able to uphold the well-being of people and their families.
All right. Okay. So let's start our discussion. I'll start off with you, Congressman.
I don't agree.
Yes. All right. You're already firing the salvo.
Ang buhay ng mga kababaihan ay nalalagay sa alangan without the RH law. No. Dahil daw yung mga nanganganak ay nanganganib. No. Kung nanganganib sila, pagkukulang ng gobyerno yun. Hindi masusolve yan ng RH law. At yung mga sanggol, dumadami daw ang mortality, hindi rin masusolve yan ng RH law. We need better facilities, better health centers, better hospitals, better health care.
Before we go there, Congressman, let me ask you first. Well, in your mind, do you think that the Filipinos accept the RH law?
No. I wouldn't agree with that. Even if it passed Congress, I would not agree that the Filipino people were behind it. Malacanang was behind it.
Right.
The poor Barrio was behind
generally,
it.
You feel
we know that now.
The general consensus.
Ngayon, lalo na alam, nasa Kongreso na ako, alam ko ang mechanics dyan. Alam ko nangyari nung butuhan. So I cannot say the Filipinos support the RH law.
Now, Professor, do you think that this RH law is the correct way? Because of course, the issue seems to be population control or population management. Is this the right way to manage the population?
Let me say first that all the latest SWS survey and many surveys before that show consistent and conscious support of not just RH but the law itself and its most controversial positions. No?
Right.
So the Filipino public, even if you ask the public, has won. We have won over the debate because this is the most extensively debated of many of our
So
social
you think if we have a
policies.
referendum, you think
I think we'll get it
All
if we
right.
have a referendum. So, and whether that is the only question is whether you believe the scientific surveys or not. But if you do, then the scientific surveys have shown consistent support. As to your question, it is not a population control bill. It never was, because to give you a little bit of my personal history, my first engagement in this area was to oppose population control under the Marcos regime.
Okay.
But it is a bill that I believe answers another part, because contraceptives may be used for population control, or they may be used so that women and their families can decide the number and spacing of their children. This is not just in international documents, it is also in some of our own laws, and certainly other religions in the Philippines have weighed in on the matter and have supported this bill as well. It's not just a scientific issue, I think it is, but it is also, as I said, a moral bill.
Sir, your thoughts?
Rod, the other side makes it appear as if they're being forced to have children. No, they have all the freedom to do whatever they want right now. They can practice whatever they want. They can use condoms, they can use pills. As far as today is concerned, without the law, we have total freedom for them to choose whatever way of life they would want to lead. Ang problema, gusto nilang pilitin yung nakararaming mga Katoliko na hindi naniniwala doon sa ganong klaseng paraan. It's the other way around. They're going to force their views on the greater majority of our people, and that's wrong. Legally, it's wrong. Morally, it's destructive.
Do you think, though, that some people are arguing, although Professor Guy has said this is not a population issue, but some people are arguing that we do have a population problem. And do you think that this is a solution or a part of the
Again,
solution?
no. The problem we have now is over-concentration of population. No doubt, we're over-concentrated in Manila, in my district in San Andres, in Pandacan, in Tondo. We have an over-concentration of people in the urban areas, in the provinces. But the Philippines is so blessed with natural resources. We can spread out the people. But it needs good, effective planning, government, leadership, and services, education for our people. Maraming kulang eh. Na pagka nabuo natin, hindi na natin pakikialaman.
But don't you think it starts off with the fact na sobrang daming kids or daming tao in one
hindi
place?
sobrang dami. Merong concentration
It's concentrated,
in certain urban areas, but not in the whole country. If you fly out of Metro Manila, makikita mo Pilipinas, luntian, berde, pero walang tao. Why? Because they're all centered in the urban area. Because this is where the opportunities lie, employment and health programs. We, once and for all, the government must really plan the development of the country so that accessible tayo from one island to another. Up to now, we haven't solved that.
Yes.
From one island to another, you have to go back to Manila to go to Cebu. Yan lang ang mga problemang basic na hindi natin ginagawa, kaya ang mga tao nasa Metro Manila.
All right, so let's go naman to the economic side of things. No? Again, some proponents are arguing, and I'll ask this Professor Guy, that the RH law will help the poor uplift their lives. Is this a valid argument? Do you think that the RH law is that instrument that can uplift the poor?
In my mind, the RH law is a bill that allows for social equity. While it is true that upper class women can use whatever contraceptives they like, have access to any contraceptives they like, the truth of the matter is women in poor communities need the kind of support that government can give. Actually, we have no difference with Congressman Atienza in terms of what we believe will be included in general development and for general health, no? The only difference is they would like to deny contraceptives to poor women by not allowing government to do its role of providing these contraceptives. Now, when he was mayor, then Mayor Atienza had a ban in Manila of contraceptives, and
Let me interject, that's wrong. 100% wrong.
Okay.
Yan ang palagi nila pinaparot that I banned contraception. No, I banned contraception in public health centers because that is unconstitutional and that is against the law.
Let me correct myself. So it was banned in public institutions, and my organization, Likhaan, has done a research of the effects of this. There had been a Supreme Court, there had been a case that went all the way up to the Supreme Court, citing this ban as a violation, as a violation of the rights of women. It has gone up to the United Nations, and my understanding is there is a decision of the United Nations that is going to cite the Philippine government for the violation of women's rights because of this ban. So let me be clear. This is a bill that allows anyone to be free to use or not to use contraceptives.
So you're not forcing contraceptives
It's not
to
a
anyone.
bill that will, if a person comes to me as a doctor under this bill and says, Doktora, Katoliko po ako, I will teach them natural family planning. But if a person comes up to me and says, I'm a very poor woman, but I would like to use a condom, then this bill allows me to help this poor woman achieve what she, in her full conscience and in consultation with her doctor who knows her health needs, achieve this. Aside from that, it's a bill that includes everything else that now Congressman Atienza would like to have in terms of providing the health of
Congressman, hindi naman daw
women.
pinipilit naman talaga yung
Palagi
paggamit
din
ng
sinasabi na the condom will solve the economic
Now,
condition
let me interject.
and the health
That's
problems.
not what we said.
Let me clear it. The condoms will never solve the problems of the woman. As far as health is concerned, HIV is spread out faster where the condoms are propagated. That's proven by records in Thailand and all the other countries. Lumaganap ang HIV dahil pinopromote ang condom. Yung pills, dumadami ang nagkakasakit ng mga ina, namamatay na walang kalaban-laban dahil sa mga epekto ng pills na hindi pinaliliwanag. Yan ang problema nila. They would like to dispense pills like as if they're dispensing aspirin and paracetamol when they are dispensing very, very sensitive and destructive materials na nakalagay naman doon, no? Ang contraindication nun, ang mga epekto nun, na hindi pinaliliwanag sa mahihirap. So when we talk about concern for the poor, then don't feed them pills. Rather, let's give them jobs, employment, more livelihood opportunities so that they have a better life.
Professor Guy, I'll allow you
Rather
to interject.
simplistic to say that our position is that condoms will solve people's problems. That would be crazy. However, the scientific community, the majority of scientific opinion, and I will cite again leading health authorities to which our government must listen, like World Health Organization, has put its scientific weight, and a lot of other scientific organizations, including our local Philippine and Obstetric Gynecological Society, has put its weight on this bill. Now, let me point to another thing. This scientific debate has been going on with counterclaims and counter-scientific claims. We often find that non-doctors will speak more strongly about the medicine than doctors like POGS and WHO. But whatever this is, okay, let's respect that some scientific opinions are different. This debate has happened for 12 years. The Congress has listened to this. For whatever reason, I'm sure there are people who are corrupt, but you should have listened to what people said. In the end, it was one of the few bills that crossed party lines, that ended up in votes that some were conscious, some were... That's the real politics. But this bill has been debated for 12 years.
Congressman, I need to
The debates are over. The debates are over because they passed that bill.
That's one of the bills where 10 million pesos were passed around. That's a fact.
All right. But before that, and that's probably subject to another show, another episode altogether, but we need to take a short break. Meanwhile, join the discussions online. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/SolarOpposingViews. Follow us also on Twitter at opposing_views. Use the hashtag OpposingViewsRH. Stay tuned. You are watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views, and we are having a lively debate here, a lively discussion with Representative Lito Atienza and Dr. Sylvia Guy Claudia. Our debate question for tonight: does the Philippines need a reproductive health law? Now, before we took a break, we were discussing this actually at the lounge, Congressman Atienza. With regards, let's talk about now regarding the issue of morality. No? The argument is that with the government's adherence to the RH law, this will eventually lead to immorality. Your take on it?
Definitely. When the sex education for children was started, eventually, society became promiscuous. Because i-expose mo yung mga bata na ang kanilang pinagkakabalaan, ang iniisip, ang excitement sa kanila, mama, father, brothers, sisters, enjoying with the family, reading, studying. Bigla mo ngayon tuturuan sa eskwela ng sex education. I took up sex education as a fourth-year student in Ateneo. And believe me, we were squeamish. We couldn't really take it just like that because when you first time naririnig yung mga sexual parts and sexuality of human being, medyo hindi tama. The sex education should be taught in the home by the mother and the father. Ganun lang dapat yan. Pag tinuro mo sa bata yan, lalaki yung mga bata, trivialize. That is the impact. Trivialize yung kanilang attitude towards sex. Have fun, enjoy it. Don't worry about anything anymore because you're using a condom, you'll be taught how to use it. There are pills available. Yan ang makakasama. It will promote immorality.
Do you think that's a fair position, Professor Guy? Position
Congressman Ateneo kasi kayo eh. Hindi UP kami. Joke lang po. Ganito po, sa UP Center for Women's Studies, we teach sex education to 2-3-year-olds kasi I run a daycare. Ano po ang laman ng sex education for 2-3 years old? Siyempre, tuturuan po namin ng mga parte ng katawan. Kasama na po yung maseselang parte, ang tawag natin, the anatomical parts that, well, they say we can't mention it here on TV. I don't see why not, because they are parts of the body. And why do we do that, sir? Because children as young as this have to be aware that there are good and bad touches and that there are certain people who will touch them in the wrong way. Then we teach them something that's very important. If you have a difference with someone, if you are disagreeing, if they're different from you, you must move in a way that is non-aggressive in order that you can resolve this difference. Why do we think this is important to teach for sexuality to 2-3-year-olds? So that no one sexually harasses a person, no one bullies another human being just because you think that person is bakla or lesbiana or tomboy.
We don't want that either.
This is important. Now, what does the bill say? The bill actually says that you have to give sexual education based on the developmental capacity of the person. Ngayon, mukha pa kayong totoy ng 4th year kung squeamish kayo. Joke lang po ulit, di ba? But we have to adapt. Mukhang mabait kayo masyado.
I was squeamish.
But we should be able to adapt to that.
Talagang mabait ako.
Yes.
Dahil natuto ko sa aking ama eh. I-reserva mo yan pag nag-asawa ka na.
The final word, Rod,
Okay.
is this.
Yes.
What do the scientific studies show? And I would cite now a technical report of UNESCO, our international body on educational matters, no? For example, and the other data that would come from other reputable scientific scientific institutions. If you teach people properly about sexuality, they're more likely to postpone sexual debut. It's the children that you keep information from, whether that's in school or not, that are more likely to get into early teenage pregnancy. Let me just point out that it's not just the parents and the schools who have control of this. There is the internet, which is increasingly a problem and often a source of the most immoral types of approaches towards sexuality. So we both agree, Congressman, we have to approach sexuality from an important moral position.
We can agree on the value of education.
Yes.
But we believe that it's the parents job, responsibility, and the most effective agents of education on matters of sex, sexuality. Hindi yung teacher. Sana kung lahat ng teacher katulad ni Dr. Claudio.
Eh, mag-training po kami.
We're talking
Kaya
about
po namin i-training.
millions of instructors and instructresses na baka hindi tama ang mangyari. So, pag-ingatan natin yun. Because sabi nga ninyo, importante yung nabubuong attitude ng bata on sexuality. So, bakit natin hindi ipaubaya sa bahayan, sa tahanan, sa pamilya, sa magulang, hindi sa third party? Dahil baka magkaroon ng mga pagliko, kawawa
So
naman
you're saying
yung bata.
hindi feasible, Congressman Atienza, you're saying it's not feasible to train teachers to effectively teach sex
yung
education?
third-party participation to us immediately creates a problem. Mabuti na yung nanay. Talaga makapag-uusap yan ng tapat. I talk to my children. I talked to Kim as a young boy. I taught him about sexuality, and I'm sure he learned very, very well. He's now a responsible father, a responsible husband. Ganon din po naman sa mga iba naming anak.
But sir, not everyone is like
You mentioned
that has
again,
the capacity
you keep on
and tools to
mentioning
teach properly.
The UNESCO, World Health Organization, United Nations.
Yes.
Let me point this out. Lahat itong population control efforts, yung RH law na yan, galing sa United Nations yan, galing sa World Health Organization yan. Kanina I was telling you about the tetanus toxoid vaccination campaign that they did this in the early 90s. Believe me, that was the most insidious campaign ever done by the World Health Organization. Ang mga babae binakunahan ay nalagyan ng infertility element na naging baog yung mga binakunahan.
Are you questioning the WHO?
Definitely, especially on this campaign which they sponsored. We exposed it and it was stopped altogether by President Ramos, even by Secretary Flavier.
Let me say that tetanus thing has been going around. And again, the data will show, and anyone who wants to look at the data, it's just there, that this was not correct. And that this was a bad scheme. Now, what's the bad thing? We are seeing increasing numbers of tetanus when we should not. Because people were stopped from taking a tetanus toxoid. Again, I personally, as a medical doctor, I know that there are many different scientific opinions. But you have to look at the majority of the scientific opinion. It may be wrong, but that's the only stick you can hang on to. There's no other stick.
The scientific opinion that we have are the laboratory tests that we did on the toxoid, done by UST, done by the Makati Medical Center. Yung tetanus toxoid na ginagamit nila, 20% of the vials in a box contained elements which should not have been there. The doctor should know it. HCG elements, human chorionic gonadotrophin, which sterilizes the woman. Yung kailangan ng womb para magbuntis ay hindi nalalagay na at naaalis, na-neutralize. So if you talk about medical findings, we have a complete list of this.
Those findings were in fact contested. And let me say again, Rod, this came out all throughout the 12 years of the debate. People heard it.
Then why did you stop the program? Why did Secretary Flavier stop the program? Because they cannot defend it anymore. We placed them in a spot.
Secretary Flavier wrongly stopped the program. They looked at it again because of those findings and reinstituted the program.
Hold on.
They reinstituted the program.
Binabakunahan nila babae, yung reproductive age. Doon lamang nagtaka kami. Bakit ang babakunahan hindi yung magsasaka na nasusugatan ng araro? Bakit hindi yung laborer na nasusugatan ng kanyang trabaho? Bakit babae na magbubuntis, yun ang kanilang binabakunahan?
Well, we can go on and on about this tetanus shot, but unfortunately, that's not what we're talking about.
Yes.
Maybe in another show, another episode. But let's talk about, again, it seems to me that the sticking point in this whole RH debate, it's not so much the tetanus shot, but the contraceptives. For one reason or another, we Filipinos are allergic, especially Catholics, which is, of course, 86% of us. Now, let's talk about the contraceptives. Now, are the artificial contraceptives being offered by the RH law, do you think they're effective and healthy? And then I'll throw the question to you, sir.
Let me first correct you, Rod, that the majority of Catholics support this bill.
All right.
Based on the SWS survey.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a sticking point.
Yeah, it's a sticking point.
Yeah, I'm not saying what the majority.
And also the Pope's worldwide survey showing very large differences between the official stand of the Church and the laity. But let me go back, let me go to your question.
Yeah.
Is to say, the bill actually says that our Food and Drug Administration, which is indeed the organization mandated and that has the expertise to decide on all drugs in the country, whether they are safe and effective, as the question says. The bill says it's the FDA who will now tell the government, ito ang mga dapat mong ibigay at i-supply under the RH law to our reproductive health clinics. So the FDA will assure us of the safety and effectivity of the contraceptives that will be put into the program.
So it's the FDA.
It's that.
Sir? Yes.
It's as simple as that.
Point out the negative impact of the word contraceptive. The very word contraceptive is anti-life. We will be teaching our children to be anti-life in their thinking. Tuturuan mong gumamit ng kondom at tuturuan mong uminom ng pills sa mga kababaihan. Right there, you create a more serious problem dahil condoms are not foolproof. Pills are not foolproof. Merong failure rate yan. Ang condoms, something like 4 to 5% do not work. So you tell your people, use the condom, use the condom.
But don't you think the failure rate is higher if there's no condom or no contraceptive?
Mas mabuti ituro mo. Huwag kang gumamit ng condom. I remember in my younger days again, my father saw me with a long white balloon. Alam niya kung ano yung sabi niya, never touch that until you get married. I couldn't understand it in the beginning, but then he explained to me. Anyway, going back to condoms, when you develop an anti-life attitude, then you, again, I'll use the word, you trivialize sex and relationships. Kaya failed contraception, failed use of condom will resort to now throwing away the baby, abortion, which follows very closely a contraceptive-minded population. Diyan mag-uumpisa mas malaking problema natin sapagkat yung aming mine-maintain na home for abandoned babies, 70% of those we get from the streets, from those deserted by, or thrown away by their mothers, are products of failed contraception. Nag-contracept sila, sabi ng isang ina, anong gagawin ko? Pumalpak yung kondom. Darating na yung mister ko from Saudi. Tino yan. Akala niya, yun ang kanyang solusyon. Kondom. Tapos nung pumalpak, itatapon niya yung baby.
So basically, in your mind, Congressman, is to tell people they shouldn't be.
Let's teach the positive.
They shouldn't be
no, the
having sex.
positive. There are ways of programming your pregnancy.
Alright.
Andiyan naman ang mga methods na talagang tama, in line with your cycle, in line with your values, which will not destroy the thinking and the values of our people.
All right, we need to take a short break at this point. More on the issue of the RH law when we come back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views on the Solar News Channel. Our guests for tonight, Representative Lito Atienza of the Buhay Party List and Dr. Sylvia Claudio, Director of UP Center for Women's Studies and the Board Chairman of Likhaan Center for Women's Health. And our question for this evening, does the Philippines need a reproductive health law? Now, just before we took a break, Congressman Atienza was making a point that we are basically promoting a culture of anti-life. If we promote this bill or we pass this law, this RH law, which has been suspended, we are promoting a culture of anti-life. Your thoughts,
Let me
Dr.
tell you
Agay.
instead a story, and if you'll allow me to get a little personal. After my third son, my husband and I decided that we would go for a tubal ligation, which we did at the same time that I delivered my son by cesarean section. And when we were going home, very happily, my husband said to me, thank goodness, I now know the story of our family. That we are three, and I can now plan ahead for these three kids, what needs to be done, what needs to be provided for them. And he said to me, it's sort of a relief because I only wanted two, he wanted three. So
okay.
he got his way, right?
He got his way, all right.
And then we really felt as if we had graduated somehow. and that we were now going to do another set of steps to ensure the well-being of our children and that they be decent, productive, and happy citizens. Okay. I have no question with the values of Congressman Atienza and the pro-life movement, that is their belief about contraceptives. My only question, which has always been at the heart of this law, is there is no one morality for millions of people doing something about their families in their most intimate of lives. I don't think it's anti-life for my husband and I to have been happy to know the number of our children and what we wanted for them. I don't think it's anti-life for many women to tell me, Ma'am, hindi ko na ho pwedeng magbuntis, ikamamatay ko ho yung susunod. Ano ho ang mangyayari? Doon sa siyam ko ng anak, wala na akong ipapakain. Sabi nga ng isang health worker sa amin, sila po, ang importante lang sa kanila yung nandito sa napupunan namin. Pag inilabas namin yan, papatayin na ho namin sa gutom yan, pati ho yung mga anak namin. At hindi naman ho totoo na nakakatulong sila palagi sa amin.
Dr. Guy,
hindi ba? So, let me just say that it's a bit, sorry sir, it's a bit non-judgmental when millions of women have asked us, the medical profession, for this, when we see that it saves women and their families. It is wrong to call it anti-life.
We're not disagreeing with
the contraceptive happens in a social situation.
Pero hindi namin sinisira yung value.
But it's a technology. You can use your cell phone to scam people.
Yung pagtulong sa mahirap, a must yan. I think it should be inherent.
Sir, you can use your technology to scam people, or you can use your technology for good things.
Do you think the policy or the principle on being anti-contraceptive, it seems to be stemming from a very Catholic belief? Because as I understand it, not all religions are anti-contraceptive. Your thoughts on that?
Kasi yung word contraception, contraceptive, that means, you know what it means? Contra-life. Anti-life. The very word is anti-life. Pag yan ang tinuro mo, gumamit ka ng condom, tuminom ka ng pills, magiging anti-life na yun. Mawawala na yung valuing for life. Wala na yung anticipation for life.
So whether you're Catholic, whether you're Muslim, or whether
wala sa religion yun. No?
It's just life.
Mas mabuti yung positive value. Value life, pag nagbuntis, panindigan ninyo, at huwag niyong palalaglag. So, therefore, we will not all end up with abortion legalization. All countries which legalized contraception, which promoted condoms and pills, all ended up, Doctora, contradict me if I'm not saying it correctly, all countries which promoted contraception ended up with legalization of abortion. We don't want murder in the Philippines of the innocent life.
You know, this is a common problem. Just because something is correlated, all people who look at the sun, right, happen to be people who are standing at some point in this earth. Doesn't mean that because they looked at the sun, that was the reason they were standing there. It's a correlation. It's not a cause and effect. You know, that's one. Secondly, let me talk about the statement na buntis kayo, panindigan nyo. If you're raped, na buntis ka, panindigan mo. If you are raped by your father, and you are carrying his baby through incest, panindigan mo.
We will have to disagree with that, though. She's using extreme cases to provide a law for everybody.
No.
Yung mga sinasabi nyo, extreme cases, they need special attention,
if I want
special
to raise
care.
only 3
But do not
children,
use
kayo lang
exceptional cases
then let
to
me look at
promote
non-exceptional case.
for
I
everybody.
only want 3
Mali.
kids. My husband and I only want 3
Good
kids.
for you.
We can only,
Good for you.
we believe we can provide everything they need
Very
if
good
there
for
are
you,
only
Doctora.
3.
Keep it to yourself,
So,
but don't give it to the poor.
You're the ones
you
who
are going to force the poor into a
I see
wrong
the
direction.
choices that I
Destruction of
can
their
make,
values.
the choices I can make in full conscience and with good will, I
Good for
cannot
you.
allow the poor to have.
Now, let me ask you, Congressman Atienza, is the church providing enough information? Because, again, a lot of people who are debating about this is focusing on the church and saying the church is too focused on natural planning and they're not even educating the masses on the natural method of family planning.
Rod, the church will never change its position. The church teaches values and morals. This is a moral issue. Valuing life is a moral issue wherein the church will never give in. Pag mali, mali. At yung abortion, which will be the byproduct of this. Sabi ni Doktora, hindi raw, yun daw ano lamang, incidental correlation. No. On record, all societies which played around with contraception and promoted birth control all ended up with legalization
This
of
to my
abortion.
question, Dr. Guy. Are there case studies abroad wherein they had a similar law like the RH law eventually led to the economic upliftment of the poor?
Yes, there have been many studies that show, like our neighbor Thailand, for example. That is one classical example. We used to be at the same level until Thailand began to give better reproductive health, including contraceptive services, to its
But
population.
there are more
And then-
examples of a growing population where the economy bloomed. I'll give you an example. The United States, the whole of Europe, when their populations were growing, they grew economically. The modern day examples would be China. The bigger the population, the better the economy. India, the second most populous nation, the better the economy. Therefore, more people, more consumers, more production,
You're
good
not looking
government.
at equity, You're not looking
Yes,
at
yes,
how
darling.
many people are the poor between rich,
Yeah,
the gap
the-
between rich and poor.
the
I must
gap.
also say that if you look at church history, the position on abortion is not very old. The history of the Catholic Church, the position on abortion is not very old. It cannot be said that the church has not changed its position on certain things.
We will dwell now on religious debate. I'm not ready to
see,
debate.
yeah.
Well, you brought
What
this
I'm
up about
saying,
the church not
killing
changing
is
its
killing,
position.
and the church will never change its position on this.
Contraceptives are not killing.
It-
You are
it
free to
will
have
lead-
your position to that.
It will lead to abortion.
But why
Deny
impose
that.
it?
But you haven't denied
I
it
deny
because
it.
all
I deny
societies
it.
which played around with contraception ended up with legalization
One of the most
abortion.
important correlations that we have is if you give people better contraceptive services, abortion rates drop.
All right. Now,
That- that is
Congressman
proven
Atienza,
across all
let me ask you,
countries have done this.
Are the existing healthcare policies of the
Kailangan-
government? Do you think that it's adequate? The existing.
No, kailangan mag-improve.
Kailangan mag-improve.
Yun ang andun ang solusyon. Government must improve its health services. Better hospitals, better health centers, better
How about
everything.
addressing maternal deaths?
Dapat
and all
yan, tulungan ng gobyerno, bigyan ng mas maayos na panganakan, bigyan ng mas ligtas na mga equipment, at better
that? But
trained.
from what I know, the RH law addresses maternal
We don't need the
deaths
RH law
and all
for that.
All right, okay.
That should be the responsibility of government today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
So we need another law. You're saying that we need
No,
a
no,
different
there
kind
is
of
no
law.
need for another law. Government must provide good health services for our people. Maternal care, dapat gobyerno pangalagaan ang kapakanan ng ina. Yung ligtas na panganganak, dapat gobyerno mag-asikaso yan. Pero hindi na kailangan panturuan ng kondom at ng paggamit ng pills, which will lead to abortion.
Rod, what are the three pillars of reducing maternal mortality and increasing maternal health? By Columbia School of Medicine, also beginning to be taken up by World Health Organization, School of Public Health, Columbia School of Public Health. Yes, as Congressman Atienza would say, improve emergency obstetric care at the grassroots level, and also comprehensive at a higher level. Yes, access to skilled and well-trained birth attendant, but the third pillar that is proven by studies, which is necessary and you cannot drop, is the provision of contraceptives to women who need them. That's the scientific data.
That's where we disagree. See? Sa kanila, contraception is a must. Sa amin naman, ang feeling namin, hindi dapat ganon. Dahil huwag niyo ipilit yung inyong pag-iisip sa nakararaming
Hindi ho
Pilipino.
pag-iisip ko to. This is scientific data. And let me go to morality. No?
Yes.
I am of the belief that science is not opposed to morality. It's not opposed to spirituality and religion. I think the best moral, spiritual position of any religion, or even if you don't have faith, you don't have religion, is to understand that science itself is necessary, that you have to take cognizance of this in order to have real faith. Now, we can disagree with this. I'm fine with this. My problem is, why can't they yield that some of us are equally moral?
Our point
We're
is that,
equally moral
again,
to you, sir.
congratulations, Doctora, for
And
your
congratulations
thinking.
to
for
your
thinking,
morality as
but do not
well.
force your thinking on the
RH
rest
bill
of the
forces
country,
nothing on
because
the rest
that
of the
is not
country.
true. We will have to disagree with that science does not care about morality. Morality is morality. It will never change
That's what
whether
I just
scientifically
said.
defined
No,
or not.
sir. No,
Yun
sir.
ang thinking niya. Congratulations
Science
for you.
tells us
But
about creation.
don't confuse our people with
Science tells us about how nature
half-truths
works.
about morality. Morality is morality.
Sir, you don't
what's
own
wrong
morality.
is wrong and what's
You
right
don't
is right.
own morality.
All right.
Not
All
one
right,
group, not one church, not one person.
All right, at this point, thank you very much, Congressman Atienza, and of course, Dr. Agay. Let's address, there's some comments. We actually had a lot of comments on our FB page, or Facebook page, and these are addressed to our guests from Lee Harvey David. The RH law is a waste of budget. That's his comment. All right, and then your thoughts on that, Dr. Agay?
No, the RH law is not a waste of budget because if you look at all the money we spend on all the things that the RH law tends to address, violence against women, including sexual harassment, HIV/AIDS prevention, including maternal mortality, and I should say morbidity, because women also get not just, they don't just die, they have complications. If you look at all these inputs, you get really much more if you're able to give these services to women and not pay for the complications, the deaths, the diseases, etc. that result from lack of services.
For his views, because I agree with him. It is a waste of money because it will create another type of thinking in the Philippines that will cost more money. HIV will be widespread, and promiscuity will be widespread, and we will have a bigger problem in the Philippines.
All right.
Right now, turuan na lang natin ng talagang Pilipinong thinking, hindi galing sa United Nations, hindi galing doon sa authors ng NSSM 200 na talagang sinabi nilang the Philippines should be targeted for population control because otherwise, yung ine-enjoy nating economic privileges ngayon, I'm talking about the rich countries now, will be lost. Let's teach them wrongly so that we will forever enjoy economic.
The women's groups, the majority of legislators, the majority of people can be accused of being non-Filipino just because they support
because you're influenced by the foreign thinking. Lahat yung inyong mga proposed bill, puro mga foreign authored.
The POGs, the
word for
Philippine
word, pareho yung
Obstetric and
pinasabi sa mga ibang bansa. Ginagawa nyo rito sa atin.
The POGs supported it, the PMA supported it.
Doctora, we still have a couple of questions. We'd like to address that. Janina Santos says, RH law to address increase in teen pregnancy and HIV/AIDS cases. Your thoughts? That's Janina's
Ako naman ang mauna.
Oh, yes, sir.
Again, it will not. It will spread HIV. It will increase teen pregnancy because our children will grow up thinking about sex rather than good manners and right conduct, sciences, mathematics, and all the other favorable subjects. Mapapalitan ng sex education ang limited time ng isang batang nag-aaral.
Okay. Ma'am?
The RH bill teaches the current gold standard, for example, in terms of HIV prevention. We ask people to be abstinent if they can be, to be faithful to one long-standing partner if they can be, and if not, because I'm not judgmental and would not at all force anybody to follow my moral standards, if you are going to have any sort of sexual relations, then use a condom if you want to. Right. So, you see, this is again the question, what is so immoral about abstinence?
You can do that now. Doctora, anybody who wants to use a condom now can do so. Anybody who wants to take a pill can do so.
But why should government use
much needed funds with a coercive element? Pilitin ng mga nakararaming, baka hindi naman nila gusto. Pero kung bibigyan ng gobyerno yan,
so your position, it's the parents' role, it's not the government's role to be...
The parents' role is the parents' role. It should not be government.
All right. Jim Paredes is weighing in. Good evening, Jim. If the church does not want children to have sex ed, is it willing to require all parents to get educated to teach children? I guess I don't know if that's a rhetorical question. So again,
that's a statement.
Yeah, it's more of a statement. Yeah, it's more of a statement, all right?
I know, Jim.
Yeah, of course, Jim. No? So again, to repeat his question, the church does not want children to have sex education. Is it willing to require all parents to get educated to teach children?
I believe that the church, the government, should all be educating the parents. It's our duty to educate the parents so that they can educate the children. During our time, during our parents' time, nangyari yan. Our parents got educated properly, they educated the children properly. Ang kinatatakot namin, mapuputol yung prosesong yan yung cycle na yan, which is correct, where government intervenes with its own thinking about economic prosperity and better opportunities, which are all not true. Hindi yayaman ng Pilipino dahil sa gagamit ng condom. Condoms never made anybody rich.
Except the manufacturer. No? All right.
Except the manufacturer.
Rod, may I please say that the church was, there is a precedent to this. In the early part of the 19th century, of the 20th century, the church approached the teaching of Rizal's works in public schools, in all schools. They fought that bill because they said the same thing, that it should be left to the parents. This is something that the state should not impose. It's a morality issue. They lost that one. And Rizal is now taught in all countries. So the position that something cannot be taught in school is really a position that doesn't make any sense. Because that's why the reason we have an educational system. We have an educational system.
But to many of us, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, we need to take a short break. Don't go away. When we come back, the results of our online poll on the issue and the final words of our guests. Please stay tuned. You're watching Opposing Views. Welcome back. This is Opposing Views. I'm Nepomuceno, and still with us, Representative Lito Atienza and Dr. Sylvia Claudio. Our question, does the Philippines need a reproductive health law? Now, Doctora, I wanted to ask, a number of people who have weighed in. Some of them are my friends. One of the problems they have with the RH law is that I don't want to pay taxes, and some of that taxes, the tax that I pay will go to funding someone's condom, just because he can't help himself or herself.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that?
I think health is something we should just all pay our taxes for. It's a social service, and you can't pick and choose your health care. And it is a social responsibility of each and every one of us to be able to give the government enough resources so that they will be able to meet the health needs of our people. So my answer to your friends, in fact, is once this reproductive health law becomes a law and can be implemented, I and a lot of women who have worked on the reproductive health law would like now to move into a fight for universal health care for all our citizens. But we can't have universal health care in our mind until we're able to assure that that universal health care will not leave women behind.
Rod, you're very correct in what you said. Can you imagine this law classifying condoms and pills as essential medicines to compete,
WHO says
to compete with medicines for tuberculosis, diabetes, high blood pressure, ito mga pahirap sa mahihirap. Ngayon, makikipag-compete ngayon yung condoms and pills. At yung under that scheme, yung pondo, bibigyan nila ng diin, itong contraceptive materials. Madi-deprive pa ngayon yung mga mahihirap ng mga talagang tunay na kailangan nila. Yan ang isa sa mga kasamaan.
If this is a World Health Organization saying that these are essential, what are your thoughts on
I cannot buy the World Health Organization program because, Rod, sabi ko na sa'yo, nabisto na namin WHO was promoting the tetanus toxoid, which was laced with anti-life elements. And therefore, the United Nations definitely are behind the NSSM 200, which they agreed in 1970s, to depopulate countries like the Philippines. Kaya lahat ito, alam ni doktora ito, kaya hindi ko lang maintindihan bakit hindi nila masagyan.
And their agenda is?
Pumapayag sila ma-depopulate tayo. Ako hindi. I believe in a growing population. As long as the government is doing its job, more consumers, more production. More production, more taxes. More taxes, more governance, more projects, more development, more people, more taxes. The cycle of positive cycle of life should be allowed. Hindi yung puputulin mo dyan, intervention, bawal na mga anak dahil sa mas magandang buhay. Mali. Right from there,
that 1970 study is a 1970 study. At the same time that the U.S. government put this out, they were supporting the Marcos dictatorship. They're no longer supporting the Marcos dictatorship. And the U.S. government has backed away from population control thinking in itself. So that's not, I
Again,
know
wrong.
this
You
study,
think-
but it's backed away from it, at least in its official
President
documents.
Obama is behind the whole program of population
Because
control. What's he
he's
talking about?
confusing population control with reproductive health, which are two entirely different things.
Although
that's
some
the
people
one.
confuse them.
When Congressman Achenta says what's essential is diabetes, hypertensive drugs, etc., you know who says that? That's also WHO. How do you come to an essential drug list? You look at the diseases of a country or the world, the most common diseases, you understand how many are suffering from this, how many are suffering from this, what are the effective medications that will counteract this, that will help effectively, and then you put out an essential list. So you say, WHO, this governments, you must
You can
provide
see-
certain things, anti-hypertensive, anti-diabetics, it
You can
includes
see that they would like to
contraceptives,
treat
etc.
contraception now and the contraceptive materials as a disease. You know, they're classifying it as one of the major diseases of the country.
Not all essential drugs are diseases.
Pregnancy is never a disease. It's a blessing.
Folic acid is on the list of what we should have because women do need vitamin supplementation of certain types during their pregnancy.
Yeah.
That is an essential drug. Not everything on the essential
Do you-
drug
do you
list
think though-
classifies what what's
think
it
though,
meant
Doctor,
for as a
that
disease.
the amount-
Certainly pregnancy is not a
Do you think, though, that the
disease.
amount that we allotted, in the RH law, the amount that we're allotting for free contraceptives, do you think that's justified?
Yes, it is, and it's not that big. And let me tell you how.
How much is it?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
it's not in my...
Billions.
It's
Alam
not...
mo, ang billion ngayon, parang hindi na. Not billions of pesos.
But
Scandal
billions
eh.
not for
Parang baliwala. Yung pork barrel, billions of pesos, parang baliwala.
Rod,
Parang minamaliit
billions.
nila yung billions. Pero sa isang mahirap, mahalaga
This is
yung
the
billions.
misinformation. They're saying billions for the contraceptives.
Yes.
We need billions in order to put emergency on contraceptive care facilities because they're so bad for our women.
So it's not all for the
Oh, yeah, we
contraceptives.
have to build up the health
Right.
infrastructure to help women have safe pregnancies. It's not just the contraceptives. And that's the misinformation they're giving. It's billions. It's not. You need to set up healthcare centers. You have to train people. You have to put people in those centers. You have to give salaries to those people. And that, of course, will cost some amount of money. Now, the bill does not only say, yun lang ang tutulungan. In fact, the World Health, our Department of Health is ready to move forward to generally improve our healthcare system to include this aspect
Mahirap ba
of
namang
healthcare.
intindihin anong kailangan ng Pilipino for a better health? Let's not keep on referring to the United Nations, the World Health Organization. Common sense dictates ang kailangan ng isang Pilipino para sa kanyang kalusugan, yung common sense ng Pilipino na magaling tayong maggobyerno, bigyan natin ng better health center, better maternal care, lahat yung mga positive, okay. Ang masama, yung kanilang thinking on depopulating the Philippines.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes left, and I'd like to ask for your final words. Doctor, I will start off with you, and then we'll end with Congressman. Or would you want Congressman to start off? Congressman, your final words.
We will not solve the problems of the country and our economics by depopulating the Philippines, by destroying our values. It's the other way around. Ako naniniwala, pag ang ating pinag-concentratean na magkakaisa tayo, yung ma-develop ang Pilipinas sa ating natural wealth, sa ating natural resources, palakasin pa natin ang pamilya dahil ang talagang pundasyon ng anumang lipunan, ng anumang gobyerno, pamilya. When the family is destroyed, society weakens. Dito, itong programa niyong ito, magpapahina sa pamilya. And that's one of the reasons why we are very much against it. Because it will not mean a better life for the Filipino. It will become a Philippines that has no more values, hindi pa rin tayo aangat. Samantalang yung mga bansang mayayaman ngayon, umangat nung ang kanilang populasyon, dumadami. Kasabay kasi ng pagdami ng populasyon, pag tama ang gobyerno, nakaka-develop sila ng mga mekanismo, ng mga kailangan para sa isang lumalagong populasyon. Yan ang dapat natin panaigin. Yung gamitin natin ang ating katalinuhan, ang ating kagalingan sa ating pangangailangan. Na hindi yung tinuro ng banyaga, dinictate sa atin yung batas, word for word. Pareho ang batas na lang ipinasa rito sa ipinasa sa mga ibang bansa. Para tayo nito sunod-sunuran. Sumunod na lang tayo sa sinabi ni Andres Bonifacio, mag-isip tayo bilang Pilipino. Gumalaw tayo bilang Pilipino. Uunlad tayo, magiging modelo tayo ng mundo.
Thank you very much, Congressman Lito Atienza. Dr. Guy, your final words?
Final words. First of all, it's not a depopulation bill. Secondly, I think it's not also a bill that is immoral. It's not a bill that focuses on contraceptives alone, but it is a bill that upholds the majority of Filipinos' opinion that the poor should be provided contraceptive services by the government. That has been shown in survey after survey after survey. It is also not a bill that is the bill of the banyaga. It is a bill that is supported by Philippine Obstetrics and Gynecological Society. It's a bill that's supported by many of the UP institutions I've worked with, including mine. It's a bill supported by many women's groups. So it's not an anti-Filipino bill. My only thing that I would like to point out to our listeners, it's also a bill that has been passed by both houses of the legislature after long and serious debate, where all the issues that Congressman Atienza and I have brought up have been brought up repeatedly. This debate should be over. This bill should be allowed to go forward because it is one of the most thought about and debated bills, and our people, through their representatives, through the surveys, through their actions, have said this bill is scientific and it is moral enough for us, and we would like to have it.
All right. All right, thank you very much to our guests. Again, Representative Lito Atienza and Dr. Sylvia Claudio. Now let's see the results of our online poll. Our question was, does the Philippines need a reproductive health law? Those who answered yes, 70%, believe that we need a reproductive health law, and no, 30%. And that's our opposing views for tonight. Tune in again next week for another bold and engaging discussion on today's most relevant issues. I'm Nepomuceno. Good night and God bless. To the nation's poverty problem. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. With countless arguments and protests, online and otherwise, we now know the reproductive health law more than ever. But it seems that the debate is far from over. We ask tonight, does the Philippines need a reproductive health law? Good evening, I'm Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views. Joining us tonight in our discussion is Representative Lito Atienza of the Buhay Party List. Good evening, Congressman Atienza.
Good evening, magandang gabi.
Yeah, sir, can you give us your quick thoughts, summary of your points regarding your position in this matter?
We have always been opposing the RH bill, and we continue to oppose the RH law in the Supreme Court. Naniniwala kami hindi makakabuti ito, makakasama. At hindi makapagbibigay ng mas magandang ekonomiya, hindi makakapagbigay ng mas magandang buhay, sisira lamang sa ating sariling pananaw ng tungkol sa buhay. Especially on the values that we have inherited from our fathers. Nanganganak ay nanganganib. No! Kung nanganganib sila, pagkukulang ng gobyerno yun. Hindi masusolve yan ng RH law. At yung mga sanggol, dumadami daw ang mortality, hindi rin masusolve yun ng RH law. We need better facilities, better health centers, better hospitals, better health care.
Yeah. Before we go there, Congressman, let me ask you first. Well, in your mind, do you think that the Filipinos accept the RH law?
No. I wouldn't agree with that. Even if it passed Congress, I would not agree that the Filipino people were behind it. Malacanang was behind it.
Right.
The poor barrels behind
Generally,
it.
you feel
We know that now.
The general consensus.
Ngayon, lalo na nasa Kongreso na ako, alam ko ang mechanics dyan. Alam ko nangyari nung butuhan. So I cannot say the Filipinos support the RH law.
Now, Professor, do you think that this RH law is the correct way? Of course, the issue seems to be population control or population management. Is this the right way to manage the population?
Let me say first that all the latest SWS survey and many surveys before that. So, show consistent and conscious support of not just our age, but the law itself and its most controversial positions. No?
Right.
So the Filipino public...
Forefathers, priority of this is the value of life. Matitrivialize at hindi magbubunga ng tama para sa lahat.
All right. Thank you very much, Congressman. On the opposing side is Dr. Sylvia Claudio, or Dr. Guy Claudio, Director of the UP Center for Women's Studies and the Board Chairman of Likhan Center for Women's Health. Good evening, Professor Guy.
Good evening.
Yes. Ma'am, your quick thoughts on this subject matter.
We have fought for very long for this bill. It's been through all the arguments. We have won the public debate. We have won the debate in legislature. We believe this is a bill that saves lives, women's lives, their children's lives, because they need their mothers to be alive, the lives of other people who have who are sexually active, and we believe it is a moral bill, a bill that respects the secular opinion of people, that respects that there are different religious traditions and different views with regards to what is life and what is family, and how we best are able to uphold the well-being of people and their families.
All right. Okay. So let's start our discussion. I'll start off with you, Congressman.
I don't agree
yes.
that
You're already firing this out.
ang buhay ng mga kababaihan ay nalalagay sa alangan without the RH law. No. Dahil daw yung mga...
Even if you ask the public, we have won over the debate, because this is the most extensively debated of many of our
So
social
if
policies.
we have a referendum, you think...
I think we'll get it if we have a referendum. So, and whether that is the only question is whether you believe the scientific surveys or not. But if you do, then the scientific surveys have shown consistent support. As to your question, it is not a population control bill. It never was, because to give you a little bit of my personal history, my first engagement in this area was to oppose population control under the Marcos regime.
Okay.
But it is a bill that I believe answers another part, because contraceptives may be used for population control, or they may be used so that women and their families can decide the number and spacing of their children. This is not just in international documents, it is also in some of our own laws, and certainly other religions in the Philippines have weighed in on the matter and have supported this bill as well. It's not just a scientific issue, I think it is, but it is also, as I said, a moral bill.
Sir, your thoughts?
Rod, the other side makes it appear as if they're being forced to have children. No. They have all the freedom to do whatever they want right now. They can practice whatever they want. They can use condoms, they can use pills. As far
Kapag sinasabing lumalaki ang populasyon, hindi niya kababaihan.
The debate on the passage of a reproductive health law in the country has been going on for decades. We have witnessed the largest street protests of those who support and resist the reproductive health law. But the endless disputes inside and outside the courts are now in a deadlock, waiting for the Supreme Court's declaration on the law's constitutionality anytime soon. The reproductive health was first introduced in the Philippines in 1967. Republic Act number 10354, or the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, guarantees universal access to methods on contraception, fertility control, sexual education, and maternal care. The Asian Development Bank reports that rapid population growth and high fertility rates among the poor aggravate poverty, making it harder for the government to address it. But the critics of the RH law pave a steep road in the implementation of the law, saying that the Philippines is not overpopulated, the natural family planning method is the best option, and that the RH law will do harm more than good and will not make a dent